Hello, my name is Ned Dennison. I'm the chairperson of the International Marathon Swimming Hall of Fame. I'm a marathon swimmer. I wouldn't call myself a coach, but I have some practice, skills, and experience in helping swimmers set goals, helping them through the journey, and being on that boat to help them get over what might occur. What I'd like to do is I would like to talk to you about a very specific part of mental health in the sport of marathon swimming. The topics are as follows: my own personal awakening. I'll talk about the depression and what I see as the three main causes. I'd like swimmers, coaches, and training partners to understand and accept the possibility this might happen. An action plan developed in advance, what to do afterwards, and then literally a call for help. My own awakening, I swam this summer in the Jim O'Connor Memorial Swim. It's in aid of Pieta House, a charity in Ireland that is dedicated to suicide prevention and help. It's a castle to castle swim from beautiful Loch Ray in the middle of the country down to the center of one of the cities, Athlone. Fabulous swim. I met Jim because he attended the Cork Distance Week quite a few years ago. We had about 60 swimmers. They all had goals. Jim had a couple of roommates. And I think, remembering back, it was probably the first time Jim had really been in a group of swimmers with the same kind of goals. He found people of similar speed, and he absolutely enjoyed himself. He went on to complete his target swim, this Loch Ray swim, and then some years later, he died by suicide. I guess in hindsight, for me, I think about dolphins. We always see dolphins in pods. We never see them alone. I don't think Jim had an active pod. I don't think he had kind of local coaches and training partners the way many of us are fortunate enough to have. So in marathon swimming, depression is quite common. I see it in three situations. Number one, successfully completed your swim. That's great. Perhaps it was a little slower than you wanted. Perhaps it was a race and your placement was a little bit lower than you wanted, or higher than you wanted. You didn't get kind of the recognition you secretly hoped you might get. The second situation is you go for your swim and you're weathered out. You don't even get wet. Or you get in the water and you don't complete. Perhaps this is the second, third, or more times you've had this experience. And the third one is something scary happened out there. Examples, in my own English Channel swim, the boat went up on a swell. I could see the barnacles and it would come crashing down. I found it to be quite scary. Hypothermia, I've been to the hospital. Shark, whether it was real or imaginary, it was there with you, or what I call a mental collapse, perhaps a harsh phrase, but you went into the swim thinking the only thing that wasn't going to happen is you weren't going to quit. And 10, 11, 12 hours in, you said, I've had enough. So let's talk about them in turn. You've successfully completed your target marathon. There was maybe one person on the beach when you finished. You got back to the boat. Your round of applause by what? 4 people on the crew. The target's now gone. You don't have anything left to work towards. There's a celebration dinner or awards, but it might be months away. And the next day, you've got no reason to get out of bed. Certainly not for the 6 a.m. swim session. And you lose contact with your pod, your coach, and your training partners. You know, my own situation, I was in the pool at 6:15 this morning with my group of buddies. The conversation was pretty limited. We'd come in on 1 minute 35 and we'd head off at 1:30. Conversation was at a minimum, but they were my people. They were my friends, and I got a lot of joy just being in the water with them. And then you're faced with all sorts of pressure to make up what you missed at work, or what I call the honey-do list at home. Second situation is you got weathered out or you didn't complete. I mean, nothing more soul destroying than working towards a goal for a couple of years and not even getting wet. There's a sense of failure, unfairness. The boat was broken or the rope caught in the prop. The weather was brilliant to start, but then it packed up, or one of your crew got ill on the boat and the boat had to go back. The years of work, 1,000+ hours of training, all for what? For nothing. There was no applause. The target's gone. Yeah, there's a celebration dinner for all the people that completed the English Channel in 6 months' time, but you didn't complete. You can't really imagine you're going to go to it. Again, you've got no reason to get out of bed. You lost contact with your daily pod, coaches and training partners, and you're faced that same pressure at home and work. And then finally, something scary. Um, that the boat hit you. You got the umbles. This is the hypothermia. You veered to the left. Your stroke rate decreased. You stopped shivering, and you kind of don't remember all of it. The 3 meter shark next to you, whether it was there or not, in your mind it was there. My least favorite is you look up and the boat's kind of heading away from you, perpendicular to the line you're swimming. You don't actually know if the boat knows what they're doing or you're lost. I tend to have my crew give me a signal like they do in scuba diving, which is everything's okay. And you keep swimming and the boat will come back and get you somehow. It might be seconds, but it feels like hours. You're all alone out there and the boat's headed off in a strange direction. And then you went into the swim thinking the last thing that's going to happen is you're going to quit. And 10, 11 hours in, your arms were kind of okay. The cramps weren't too bad. You just had enough and you quit. And it can be hard. So the first thing I'd like you to do as a swimmer, a coach, or a member of the pod is understand this situation and accept the possibility. Everybody involved with the swimmer, you need to stay involved afterwards. So the swimmer, you need to stay connected to the pod, the coach, and the training partners. You can't let them drift away. The family, the friends, or work colleagues, this is something you need to talk about a little bit. Don't just go silent on them. In advance, have an action plan. If you don't already have a pod, if you don't have a coach and a training partner and a mentor, at least get a mentor. Go to Open Waterpedia. There's a list of people under the index field of mentors. They offer their services for free. If you can't find one, contact me. We'll get you a mentor. From a mentor, hopefully we get you a coach and a training partners, whatever it might be. It's so much easier and more enjoyable in the sport to have a group around you. It is possible to work out all alone in the backyard in your pond in Iowa, go off the English Channel without knowing a soul, and complete a swim, but it's easier and more fun to have a pod. You need to always remember that you signed up for this target. I didn't sign you up. I might have helped convince you, but you signed up for the target. You got a lot of joy in working towards the target. You got to admit it. You filled in your spreadsheet, you recorded the meters, the laps, the sessions, whatever it was, the sense of accomplishment, you were building towards the target. Your goal should be to be safe. Your goal should be to finish, but not necessarily to have a certain time or to set a record. Look, this is a sport where the weather can pack up at any time, or the boat propeller gets caught in a rope and you need to swim around the boat for 20 minutes. So times and records, these aren't what you're there for. You're there to finish. Have a future target set long before you get to your first swim. Maybe 6 months out. It can be a 10K swim, doesn't matter. Or it can be a commitment to crew for somebody else who's in your pod to stay involved. Then set other future targets. Look, you didn't sign up for a marathon swim and not be a target person. And those can be targets at work, they can be targets at home. Take the same joy out of completing those targets as you took all the way through your preparations. And for sure, before you get in the water, before you go to your trip, have a date to gather back at home with your entire pod. A week's a good time. Do not just go home and ignore everybody. Okay, for afterwards, and this is particularly aimed at the coach and the training partners. Do not let the swimmer rest for more than a week. Don't let them rest for more than a week. Call them, call them, call them. Pester them. Go to their home uninvited with a tea bag or a coffee cup or a couple of cans of beer and check in on them. I've done a few home interventions before. It's a little bit odd, but it does work. We have a list for my own local group here in Kinsale, Ireland, of the swimmers that did not finish. The swim was canceled, the weather was bad, they quit, something happened. We proudly display those situations and those names. This is so that you don't think you're the first ever to have this situation. If you're in the coach or training partner pod, remind the swimmer they weren't the first one this happened to. Misery likes company. 1 month after the swim is critical. Sometimes it's when people actually realize they did it and they start walking around with a stupid grin on their face. And if you're a woman in your early 30s, people might think you're pregnant. You're the only one that knows. If you're a man, you might get hit by a bus not looking where you're going. And if you didn't make it, sometimes it really hits after 1 month. Talk about your future swimming target, whether it's swimming or crewing. Talk about it. Make it part of your life. Talk about your future targets at home and work. Pod, get interested in what they're doing in the rest of their life. If you had a scary experience and you're not getting over it, seek some help. I certainly know swimmers who experience shark company and Molokai. Years later, it's still part of them. They're still talking about it. So don't be ashamed. Something scary happened or you just quit. This is part of it. You got to talk about it. Try to get over it. Do not let the swimmer just slip away. Okay, so my call for help for everybody out there, if you happen to be in Ireland or want to come to Ireland, the 13.5 kilometer Jim O'Connor Memorial Swim is a great swim. You start in a beautiful Loch Ree, fresh water, and as you come into Athlone, the last 200 meters is a fabulous current pushing you forward. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of people screaming and cheering for you. There's food and there's entertainment. It's a great charity event. But please, let's have no more memorial swims in aid of a suicide prevention and charity anywhere in the world. No more. Enough's enough. We don't need another one. Do not let your swimmer slip away. Go find them. Go call them. Don't let them slip away. Swimmers, don't let your pod slip away. Family, friends, work colleagues, don't let them slip away. Thank you very much. If you enjoyed this video or there's a wake-up call, in the next screen, we have recorded many videos for the International Marathon Swimming Hall of Fame. Go ahead and click the I button and subscribe. Go through the calendar and see what else we have on display for you.